You already know how to do it. Nobody taught you. You weren't given instructions. You just lean in. And for something so instinctive, something that feels almost as natural as breathing, we have shockingly little idea where it came from. When did ancient humans start kissing? Because the answer isn't what you think. And it's far older, far stranger, and far more biological than any love story gives it credit for. Here's the assumption almost everyone carries into this question. Kissing is human. It's universal. It's something every culture has always done, everywhere, since the beginning. That assumption is wrong. Not slightly off, fundamentally wrong. And the truth buried in 4,500-year-old clay tablets, in ancient dental plaque, and in the DNA of a virus that currently lives inside roughly 3.7 billion people, is going to change the way you see this completely ordinary thing you do with your face. Let's go back, way back. In May 2023, a study published in the journal Science, one of the most prestigious scientific journals on Earth, made a quiet announcement that upended decades of academic consensus. The researchers, Dr. Troels Pank Arbel from the University of Copenhagen and Dr. Sophie Lund Rasmussen from the University of Oxford, had found the oldest written record of romantic kissing. Not in a poem, not carved into stone, in a clay tablet, written in cuneiform, those tiny wedge-shaped marks pressed into wet clay by a stylus, found in what is now Iraq, ancient Mesopotamia, the land between the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. The tablet dates to approximately 2500 BCE, 4,500 years ago. And here's what stops me cold about that. Before the Great Pyramid was finished, before most of the ancient world had alphabets, before the Bronze Age had fully arrived, somewhere in ancient Iraq, someone pressed a stylus into clay and wrote about kissing, not as something new, as something normal. Now, for years before this discovery, the academic consensus pointed to ancient India, specifically to early Vedic texts from around 1500 BCE, Sanskrit descriptions of lovers pressing their mouths together, sometimes called the sniff kiss, and later the Kama Sutra, written between the 1st and 4th centuries CE, famously catalogued over a dozen distinct types of kisses with detailed instructions. For a long time, scholars argued that kissing had a single origin point, that it was essentially an Indian export that spread westward across the ancient world. But Arbel and Rasmussen's study said, not so fast, because the Mesopotamian tablets didn't just push the timeline back by 1,000 years. They showed that kissing was already sophisticated, already sorted into categories. There were tablets distinguishing between friendly kisses, pressing your lips to the feet or the ground as an act of submission or reverence, and romantic or sexual kisses between partners. There were social rules about who could kiss whom and when. One tablet warned that kissing a priestess who had taken a vow of celibacy could cause the offender to lose the ability to speak, essentially a legal and spiritual punishment for the wrong kiss. And there were what researchers believe may be early medical descriptions of a mouth-related illness, referred to in Akkadian as bushanu, with symptoms that some tentatively associate with herpetic infection. Researchers are careful to say we can't simply map ancient diseases onto modern diagnoses, but the timing is notable. Here's the key conclusion from the Oxford and Copenhagen study. They argued that kissing didn't spread from one civilization outward. It emerged independently, multiple places, multiple cultures, multiple times across history, which means kissing isn't something humans invented. It's something humans kept rediscovering. But sit with that for a moment. If kissing was already documented 4,500 years ago, already regulated, already categorized, already considered normal, how old is it really? Because written language itself is only about 5,000 years old. The written record isn't the beginning of kissing, it's just when we started writing about it. The real origin is buried somewhere in the pre-literate past, and that's where the story gets genuinely strange. In 2024, a team of evolutionary biologists published a study using something called phylogenetic analysis, essentially building a behavioral family tree across primate species to find out when a behavior first appeared. They were looking at kissing-like behaviors across our closest living relatives. Chimpanzees do it, bonobos do it, orangutans do it, and when researchers ran the numbers, mapping the branching points of our evolutionary tree against the distribution of this behavior, they found that mouth-to-mouth kissing behavior first appeared somewhere between 16.9 and 21.5 million years ago. Let that land. 21 million years, before our genus Homo even existed, before Neanderthals, before Homo erectus, before any creature that would recognize a clay tablet or understand the concept of love. Now, what were they doing with it? Not romance, not attraction, not anything we'd call love. In chimpanzees, mouth-to-mouth contact is used primarily to manage social tension, to reconnect after conflict, to signal submission, to diffuse situations that might otherwise turn violent. In bonobos, it appears during sexual behavior, but also during play, after fights, and during greeting. The behavior is ancient. What we've layered onto it, the romance, the meaning, the ritual, that came much later. And the evidence for this gets even more specific. Statistical modeling suggests there's an approximately 80% probability that Neanderthals kissed, and it's not just a guess. We share with Neanderthals a specific oral microbe, Methanobrevibacter oralis, that can only transfer through direct saliva contact. The two species would have had to exchange saliva directly, and given that we know from genetics that modern humans and Neanderthals interbred during their coexistence before 40,000 years ago, the means for that saliva exchange is not exactly a mystery. Neanderthals were almost certainly kissing, long before the clay tablets, long before India or Mesopotamia, or the concept of romance. Now here's the part that changes everything about how you think of this behavior. Your lips are extraordinary biological hardware. The lips have one of the densest concentrations of nerve endings anywhere on the human body, more sensitive than your fingertips. When you kiss someone, you are firing an enormous sensory cascade. You are literally reading them through your lips, and your brain is running a process you are not consciously aware of. Kissing triggers the release of oxytocin, the bonding hormone, dopamine, the reward signal, serotonin, the mood stabilizer, and it measurably drops cortisol, the primary stress hormone. But here's what most people don't know. Human saliva contains hormones, testosterone, estrogen, and chemical signals that give your brain detailed biological information about the person you're kissing, their immune system health, their genetic compatibility, their current hormonal state. Researchers believe kissing may function in part as a compatibility assessment. Your ancient primate systems pulling in data your conscious mind will never see, evaluating whether this person's biology is complementary to yours. You think you're being romantic. Your brain is running diagnostics. But now we have a problem with that story. If kissing is this ancient, this biological, this deeply embedded in our nervous system, why doesn't every culture do it? In 2015, researchers at the University of Nevada conducted the largest cross-cultural study of romantic kissing ever published. They surveyed 168 cultures from around the world. The result was jarring. Romantic sexual kissing was found in only 46% of cultures. 77 societies out of 168. The other 54% showed no evidence of the practice. None. Not missing evidence, actually no kissing. In parts of sub-Saharan Africa, New Guinea, and the Amazon, when European explorers introduced lip-to-lip kissing, the reaction was frequently revulsion. The Tsonga people of southern Africa reportedly described the practice as disgusting, like sucking each other, swapping the contents of each other's mouths, which, objectively, is not an incorrect description of what kissing is. This is the uncomfortable truth about kissing. It is not a human universal. It correlates strongly with social complexity, with urbanization, with stratified hierarchical societies. Foraging communities, smaller, more egalitarian groups, often express intimacy very differently, through nose pressing, through the sniff kiss, through holding and embracing, through physical closeness that involves no lip contact whatsoever. What this tells us is something fundamental. Kissing isn't instinct riding alone. It's culture built on top of a biological foundation. And that distinction, biology versus culture, matters a lot. Because it means kissing is something humans choose to do with a behavior they were built to do. And not all of us have made the same choice. And here's the consequence of that cultural spread that nobody puts in the love story. In 2022, researchers at the University of Cambridge set out to trace the evolutionary history of the herpes simplex virus 1, HSV1, the cold sore virus, the one you may well be carrying right now. They screened 3,000 archaeological samples from ancient human remains. They found 4 viable specimens. 4, after going through 3,000. From those 4 samples, ranging from a 1,500-year-old individual in Russia to a 17th century person in the Netherlands, they sequenced the first ancient HSV1 genomes ever recovered. And what those genomes told them is this: the dominant modern strain of HSV1 emerged approximately 5,000 years ago. 5,000 years ago, right when kissing was being written about in Mesopotamia, right when Bronze Age migrations were moving massive populations across Eurasia, creating the exact conditions for a virus that spreads through oral contact to reach an unprecedented number of new hosts. HSV1 currently infects approximately 3.7 billion people globally, roughly 2/3 of all humans under the age of 50. We didn't just spread kissing. Kissing spread something with us. So here's the part that rewrites the whole story. Kissing is ancient, but not because it's romantic. It's ancient because it's useful. Consider premastication, the practice of a caregiver chewing food and transferring it mouth to mouth to an infant who lacks the teeth to process solid food. This behavior appears in the ancient Egyptian Ebers papyrus. It's documented across human cultures, and it shares almost identical physical mechanics with what we call a kiss, minus the food. Evolutionary biologists believe this may be one of kissing's oldest functions, not the expression of love, the transfer of nutrition and immune-priming bacteria from parent to child. 21 million years of this behavior, and at some point, we don't know exactly when, humans began doing it in a new context, between adults, not for food, for something else, something harder to define, something that eventually got written on a clay tablet in ancient Iraq, and later in Sanskrit texts in India, and eventually into every love song in every language on Earth. So when did ancient humans start kissing? The written record says 4,500 years ago, in Mesopotamia, on a clay tablet, in a society where kissing was already so normal it needed laws. The evolutionary record says the behavior appeared somewhere around 21 million years ago in a common ancestor we share with great apes. The neurological record says we're still doing exactly what that ancient ancestor was doing, reading biological information through saliva, managing social bonds, running a compatibility check that predates the concept of a first date by millions of years. And the real answer is probably this: kissing didn't start as kissing. It started as something far more ancient, a biological tool for bonding, for reading, for sharing, and somewhere along the way, we wrapped it in meaning, in ritual, in culture, in law, in poetry, in romance. Every time you lean in, you're carrying 21 million years of evolutionary history in the shape of your lips. That's the part nobody tells you when they talk about the history of kissing. If you made it this far, you're exactly the kind of person this channel exists for. The questions nobody thinks to ask, the ancient origins hiding inside ordinary human behavior. Hit subscribe and come along for the next one, because next time we're going to ask another question that sounds simple and leads somewhere nobody expects.